We're living in the age of outrage, where snapping is normal, where yelling is expected, and where getting even is actually encouraged. Social media rewards harshness. News media thrives on conflict. Daily life is filled with triggers, but gentleness is the radical resistance to a spirit-filled person. Gentleness is the radical resistance of a spirit-filled person. In a culture where everyone is ready to pop off, gentleness is your protest. When people expect you to clap back, gentleness surprises them. When a world pushes you to react, gentleness chooses to respond in love. When chaos surrounds you, defiant joy expresses itself through calm presence. Our perfect teacher says this in Matthew 11, verse 29. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. You see, that's our teacher. That is our model. He had all authority on heaven and earth, and still he chose to ride on a donkey, not a war horse. He had the power to call legions of angels, and yet he remained silent before his accusers. He had every reason to condemn the world, but instead he says, Father, forgive them. Jesus didn't flex to prove power. He laid it down to show love. So when Paul says, let your gentleness be evident to all, he's telling us to look like Jesus in a world that has forgotten how to be gentle. Church, have we forgotten how to be gentle? Have we forgotten how to be gentle? How does this connect to defiant joy? Because joy isn't loud laughter or fake happiness. It's calm courage. Joy is what allows you to sit in peace when your world is falling apart. Joy is what holds your tone steady when everyone is losing theirs. Joy is what lets you breathe deeply instead of explode emotionally. Defiant joy is gentle not because it's soft, but because it's anchored. Philippians 4:6 says, don't be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God. Now, let's talk honestly about anxiety. The silent weight that's pressing down on hearts and minds everywhere, and especially amongst the younger generation, and even creeping into our church. And right here, Paul is writing from a prison cell, drops a command so countercultural, it almost sounds offensive. Do not be anxious about anything. Really? Wait, nothing? Not your family? Not your finances? Not your medical diagnosis? Not your children's safety or future, not your marriage, not your job situation or the economy. And at first glance, it can feel like Paul is dismissing our very real struggles. But here's the deal, he's not. Let's be very clear. Anxiety doesn't come out of nowhere. It often arises from deep, painful and complex places like trauma, uncertainty about the future, unprocessed grief, overwhelming responsibilities, chemical imbalances or neurological misfiring, family history or generational patterns, relationship stress or chronic illness, betrayal and burnout. And sometimes anxiety is triggered by external chaos, and sometimes it's stirred by internal chemistry. And sometimes it's even both. So reducing anxiety to a lack of faith or prayer isn't just theologically lazy, but it's spiritually damaging. It helps shame those who are already burdened. So let me offer a more faithful and compassionate truth. Anxiety is multi-layered. It's emotional, mental, and physical, and spiritual. And while prayer is not a cure-all, it does offer a lifeline. Let's look at what Paul does say versus what he doesn't say here. Paul doesn't say, if you feel anxious, you have failed. He doesn't say, only people with weak faith deal with anxiety. He doesn't say, if you just pray harder, it'll magically disappear. Listen to what he actually says. When anxiety shows up, you do not have to keep it to yourself. In every situation, turn to God through prayer, petition, and thanksgiving, and the peace of God will guard your heart and mind. Notice Paul acknowledges that anxiety will rise, and he simply teaches us what to do when it does. So let's develop a theology of anxiety that's both honest and hope-filled. See, anxiety isn't always sinful, but it's often a signal. It's our soul saying something isn't right. Something needs attention. Something needs healing. And we even see Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane experience overwhelming emotional agony to the point of sweating blood. David cried out in fear and isolation in the Psalms. Elijah laid under a tree and begged God to end his life. Paul in 2 Corinthians 1 said that he despaired of life itself, and yet they prayed. They didn't pretend like it wasn't there. They carried it to God. That's where defiant joy enters the scene. Defiant joy doesn't deny anxiety. Defiant joy doesn't shame anxiousness. Defiant joy casts anxiety into the presence of God. It says, anxiety, you're real, but you are not in charge. You can knock, but you do not get to move in. You may rise up, but I'm bringing you to the one who can calm the storm. See, Peter says it beautifully in 1 Peter 5:7. Cast all your anxiety on him. Why? Because he cares for you. Not because you are weak, but because God is near. See, God isn't just sitting on the sidelines. He is walking among you and walking with you through life, through every single situation. And we continue on to Philippians 4:7. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds. So Paul has already challenged us to rejoice always and pray about everything. But now he gives us the result to that kind of living, and that result is peace. It's not just any peace. It's not circumstantial peace. It's not worldly peace. It is the peace of God, the kind of peace that doesn't even make sense when you try to explain it. See, in our culture, peace is often described as a mood or a vibe or a moment of calm. If I can just listen to my playlist, if I can just do some stretches, if I can just light a candle or do some deep breathing or go off grid for a weekend. But biblical peace is not passive, it is active. It doesn't just relax you, it defends you. See, Paul uses military language when he says it will guard your heart and mind. Peace isn't just a feeling, it is your spiritual security system. And so what is this peace guarding? It says it guards two specific battlegrounds. It guards your heart, the seat of your emotions. The heart is where fear, grief, stress, confusion, jealousy, and insecurity try to live. God's peace doesn't just numb these emotions, it stands and watches over them. Peace says, no fear, I'm sorry, you don't belong here. It guards over your mind, the battlefield of your thoughts. The mind is where the spirals begin. It's where overthinking thrives, where lies get repeated until they start to feel like truth. But peace guards the gate. Peace says there's no entry for hopeless thoughts. There is no access to shame. It closes the door to self-hate. When joy opens the door, peace takes the post. And Paul says peace transcends all understanding. In other words, you won't be able to explain it, but you will be able to experience it. This peace doesn't make sense in natural terms. You're grieving, but somehow you're still steady. You've lost your job, but you haven't lost your mind. You're facing uncertainty, but you're sleeping through the night. You're battling sickness, but your spirit is full of worship. People will look at you and say, "How are you okay?" And all you'll be able to say is, "I shouldn't be, but God." And peace doesn't always change the storm, but it changes you. God's peace doesn't always remove the problem, but it changes your posture in the problem. It reminds you that you are not alone. You are not unprotected. You are not unraveling. This is not a peace that the world gives. And it can't be taken away by what the world does. This is not a peace that the world gives, and it can't be taken away by what the world does. So you don't have to understand it to receive it. You don't have to deserve it to walk into it. You don't have to fix everything to feel it. You can just present your request to your faithful Father and let him post his peace like a 24/7 guard around your life. Joy isn't just dancing in freedom. Sometimes it's standing guard in battle. Joy opens the door in prayer. Peace stands at the threshold watching over what comes in and out of your soul. And when both are active in your life, you can say what David said. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. This is what it means to walk with defiant joy. The kind of welcoming peace that welcomes you, peace where peace probably shouldn't be in your life. Next, we move on to verse 8. Whatever is true, noble, right, pure, and lovely, admirable, think about such things. Whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, think about such things. And when I think about these things, it's easier to think about these things when I'm in proximity to these things. And hearing requires proximity. And I know this about proximity. Proximity determines temperature. Let's break this down. If you show me someone spiritually cold, it's not because they're cursed, it's typically because they're distant. You show me someone who's cold in their faith, numb to the things of God, spiritually checked out, and I'll show you someone who is far from the sun. See, think about it like this. Pluto, although it's not considered a planet anymore, is cold, lifeless, and dark. Why? Because it's far from the sun. Venus, on the other hand, is burning hot because it's close. And spiritual heat is tied to spiritual proximity. The closer you are to Jesus, the more alive, aware, and on fire you will become. And the further you are, the colder your soul starts to feel. And lastly, we look at Philippians 4:9. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me, or seen in me, put into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. See, Paul doesn't end this section with abstract theology or lofty ideas. He ends it on the ground where life is lived with a call to action. This isn't just about accumulating knowledge. Paul doesn't say, try to guess what God is saying. He's saying, look at the pattern of my life. Learn it, receive it, hear it, see it, then live it. This is discipleship, not just informational transfer, but imitation followed by application. See, when we learn what Paul taught, we receive what they accepted personally. We hear what they listened to, and we see what they observed in his life. And Paul is saying, you have more than enough to start living it out. You don't need to you need to walk out what you already know. At this point, I want to invite the band back up. You see, defiant joy isn't a vibe. Defiant joy, it takes practice. Defiant joy doesn't just stay in your head, it shows up in your habits. You choose to rejoice. You choose to pray. You choose to think on what is good. You choose to live out the pattern God has given you. This is not about perfection. It is about faithful practice. You don't always feel joyful. You will not always feel peaceful. But you can practice joy. You can walk in peace. You can build the rhythm of recognition. So when the enemy whispers, you know that is not your father. See, Paul doesn't just promise peace. He promises God of peace. There's a difference between peace as a feeling and peace as a person. When you live out what God has shown you, you don't just receive calm, you receive company. You're not just given peace, you're walked with by the Prince of Peace. This is the reward of a life rooted in daily obedience. You don't just know about God's peace, you walk with the God who gives it. So I'm going to begin where I opened this morning. What voice needs to be removed? We see in 1 Peter 4, "Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial, but rejoice." Because rejoicing removes a voice. So today, what voice needs to be silenced? Is it fear? Is it shame? Is it comparison? Is it despair? Is it trauma? Is it suicide? Then let defiant joy take the mic. Lift your voice. Let sorrow know it can't speak over you anymore. Let depression know it has no stage, and let joy rise. Because joy is not weak. Joy is war.
Can you all please join me and stand as we worship together? Slow down, take time, breathe in, he said. Reveal what's to come. The thoughts in his mind, always higher than mine, and he'll reveal all to come. Take courage, my heart, stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting, he's in the waiting. Hold on to your hope as your triumph unfolds. He's never failing. He's never failing. Stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the way. your hope as your triumph unfolds. He's never failing. He's never failing. You own the stars, who call them each by name, will surely keep your promise to me that I'll rise in your victory. Take courage, my heart. Stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. And hold on to your hope as your triumph unfolds. He's never failing. He's never failing. Sing it with me. Take courage. Take courage, my heart. Stay steadfast, my soul. He's in the waiting. He's in the waiting. And hold on to your hope as your triumph unfolds. He's never failing. He's never failing. He's never failing.
Please receive this benediction and this blessing. Or defiant joy. Let's live that out. In a world that's countercultural, where it says, no, you shouldn't be joyful. No, you shouldn't have peace. Embrace those things from the one who provides those things. Go in peace to the one who offers peace. Serve the Lord. Thanks be to God. You're dismissed.